That was the core of that group. Roberts was in there, but that was the core of it, and it was an attempt where Rod was the brilliant legal mind behind it to remove President Trump under the 25th Amendment. They actually had an operational name for it at the beginning, Run Silent, Run Deep, but nobody really used it after a while. It didn't make any sense because it was such a small group. But that's an old movie about somebody being passed over for promotion, which they both felt they were. VP Pence hated President Trump because he had taken his slot as rightful president. He felt that he did. And Paul Ryan was actually considered running as well for a vice presidential slot, and Mitt Romney was also involved. But they thought President Trump was an outsider who had not paid his dues. They just didn't like him. So once VP Pence was in there, once President Trump was elected, and obviously Vice President Pence, he just walked away, and everything became very quiet. That was their mole inside, someone who could run interference, leak certain things, and just keep tabs on the president, manage him.
So was this a friendly relationship between Mike Pence and Rosenstein, or was there any kind of leverage being placed on the president or the vice president at the time?
There was leverage on Mike Pence because of surveillance from way back in the 2013 range that they had gotten FISA warrants to exploit, and Rod had that. He wanted a vice presidential slot himself. If they could remove President Trump, Vice President Pence becomes president, and Rod felt that he would be the natural selection for it. Paul Ryan felt differently, as did Mitt Romney, but that was the overall goal. Each one of them vying for the vice presidential slot. Rod thought he was the clear winner because of his legal brilliance and his management of the Mueller investigation and special counsels and things. He would be the one to remove the president, damage him so thoroughly he could be removed, and he deserved it.
So do you know what type of leverage would have existed over the vice president?
The vice president has had homosexual relations in the past. It's not a problem. Many of them were adults. This is something he had done throughout his time in Congress. When he became governor, he had thought that he was free to explore them more. There were two specifically that they had recorded. One gentleman, roughly 20 years his junior. They had a fairly steady relationship. There was one about half his age that was much more sporadic. It's considered because it was more dangerous, harder to get time alone. This person would introduce others. He'd bring people with him. He'd have people waiting when he showed up. And it was that second one that introduced younger people. This is whomever, he's 17, he's really 15. Whomever, he's 15, he's really 13. And Rod and Roberts, the Chief Justice Roberts, a lot of the younger people involved, the ones that were brought as favors, were supplied by Jeffrey Epstein's channels, through his channels, his people. They were able to get FISA warrants because one, of course, Chief Justice Roberts had the FISA court and helped them prepare them, but it was also Epstein was an intelligence asset of some type to various agencies around the world. They used his information, they exploited it for their own good. So when he was here or his people were here, it was easy enough to justify a FISA warrant on them. I would enact a warrant, surveil everything, document it, but they would not help anyone. They would not save the child. They would not, reveal that it was more important for them to have the leverage on everything. And of course, this is under their own corrupt ideas, but under Rod, his tutelage. And they wanted the leverage.